Hey, call this Village of Greenhills regular council meeting for January 27th, 2015 to order. Does anybody want to say anything, or do we have a moment of silence?
Oh, I can.
Okay, all right.
Lord, we ask you to send the spirit of servanthood upon all of us gathered here this evening to do your work for the benefit of all in our community. We ask you to bless our elected and appointed officials so they may deliberate with wisdom and act with courage. Bless the members of our community who have always been around for us and help us at any time that we needed it. Lord, we ask you to bless us all, that everything we do here tonight will move you to welcome us one day in your kingdom as good and faithful servants. We ask this in the name of our brother Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll.
Brokaw. Here. Dries.
Here.
Halter.
Here.
Hermes.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Walther. Here. Moore.
Here. Okay. I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 25th, 2014 regular council meeting, the December 9th, 2014, and January 13th, 2015 council meeting work session meetings.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any corrections? Hearing none. Minutes are approved. Okay, this is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council, to ask questions of concern to them. When recognized, please come forward to the lectern, give your name and address, and state your comments or questions. Council meetings are tape recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 2 minutes.
My name is Thad Willard. I live on Damon Road. First, I want to thank the members of the EMS squad and Chief Space for the fine assistance they gave me recently when I had a medical emergency and my wife had to call 911 in the middle of the night. They came there very promptly, took care of me very well, transported me to the hospital, and probably was instrumental in saving my life. I can't thank them enough. I also want to thank Neil Fertelman and his men who periodically went by our home while my wife Maria was running to and from the hospital and all day, hours of the day and night. And I want to thank you for doing that. And I also have a lot of neighbors and friends who also helped during the difficult times. You don't realize how good a neighborhood you live in until something happens. So much for that. On a more serious note, I noticed that we have a resolution here to change or confirm a management level of control in the village as far as finances. As I understand it, all the finance director wants is authority to move funds from one line item to another in the same general accounting category, which quite frankly makes sense. He would like to do it without having to come into council all the time, and that's innocuous enough. Unfortunately, the way I'm looking at this is very broadly written and more than necessary. You can provide and create language more narrowly written to do exactly what he wants. But the way it reads now, in my opinion, looking at it, it gives away too much of what the council's fiduciary responsibility actually is as far as control of the budget. It's one thing to delegate a few minor things, but the way this reads, it might be construed to do more. The bottom line is, there's no reason to give away the farm when all that is necessary and wanted is maybe a half dozen eggs and a stick of butter. And I think you can give people what they want, it's finance director, what he wants without using this language as it is now. Legal control and level control and management control. Those are interesting items, and they're legal terminology, but I think the way this is written, it's too broadly written for what you want to accomplish. It will accomplish what you want, but it could do more, and I think it would be bad government and bad business to leave the language as it is. I'm not saying don't do what you want to do. There's a way to do it. I just suggest you change the language, go back to the drawing boards, and maybe at the next work session, work it out, any kinks, so you can give the finance director what he legitimately needs. And I think what his request is legitimate, but without language this broad. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Diana Harrison Kohler. I live at 53 Ilona. And first off, I want to thank Council Member Halter and Council Member Walther for attending the Historical Society Board meeting. Your input and information was very helpful, and we appreciate that you showed up. Secondly, thank you to the Committee for Safety and Traffic. The meeting was very, very well run, and I thank you for letting me speak at that meeting. And I would also like to thank the village and Mayor Moore for the donation to the Historical Society of a set of blueprints for the shopping center from the original design. There was an extra set that we had here at the village, and the Historical Society is very pleased to accept it. And I also concur with Mr. Willard's analysis of the level of control ordinance or resolution. There is some concern that it is written very broadly, and I would hope that we could fine-tune the wording in it to, I realize it's a new requirement, but I hope we can fine-tune the language. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Chris Russo. I live at 67 Flanders Lane, and I'm president of the Greenhills Historical Society. I'm pleased to tell you that Greenhills has been chosen by the Ohio Historical Society, now known as the Ohio History Connection, to be participants in their Building Doctor program. This program consists of a seminar which will be held on Thursday, March 12th in the community building at 7 p.m., covering such topics as roof repair, windows, wood repair, masonry, and many other maintenance issues common to buildings built before 1955. Also covered will be common problems faced when renovating older buildings, resources useful to older building owners, and the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation. This will be a 2.5-hour PowerPoint and slide presentation, followed by a question and answer session. Then on Friday, March 13th, the building doctors will make up to 10 site visits to examine problems and prescribe cures. The building doctors will visit all kinds of pre-1955 buildings, including homes, schools, churches, commercial buildings, and rental properties. The lecture is the only prerequisite to receive a free site visit. Site visits will be chosen by the building doctors. Applications for a site visit and registration for the free seminar can be made by calling the building doctors, area code 614-298-2000. Also, applications should be available later next week at the city post office and the keg, village keg. Walk-ins for Thursday's seminar will be welcomed according to the space available after registrants are seated, so do register if you're interested, as seating will be limited. This event will be publicized by the Ohio History Connection and carried on the Enquirer and local TV stations. The event is sponsored by the Greenhills Historical Society. please contact me, Chris Rousseau, at 888-2718 with questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions that anybody would have about this?
Is this the first time that this type of program's been run here?
They did the program here, yes.
Yes.
They did the program last year in Findlay and Port Huron and various cities around. They only pick about 8 cities. So it's really an honor.
Well, congratulations for getting there.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's kind of like having Bob Villa show up and tell you what you need to do with your house. I mean, it's free, so
Chris,
it's quite an opportunity.
Chris, could you repeat both phone numbers one more time?
Sure. The number to call to register is 614-298-2000. And my phone number is 888-7218.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a note to need light bulbs.
Oh, I sure do.
Better.
They don't mind being in the dark. Anybody else?
I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. Moving on, reports of village officials, the municipal manager, Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of items, but if I could just touch quickly on the issue that was raised, and when we actually get to the legislation, Matt Sanders is here to address it a little bit more, but the language in that resolution may seem a little heavy, although it is taken directly from the Village Officers Handbook and is referenced in the Ohio Administrative Code. And that is the terminology they use, and that's the terminology. That's the reason we use that terminology. So, at the appropriate time, we can have Matt discuss it for you a little bit more. But I want to let you know that.
Would it help to have the definition in the resolution? I know it's more to read, but just so that it's clear what it means.
The source of it.
Just a definition of management level of control. Just within.
Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but that the definition is that would be the object level of the appropriation, which, and for,
So
unless
the
you deal with
definition
it all the
doesn't clear it
time.
up.
Yeah, but want to help me a little?
Well, we could save it for when the legislation.
Well, we could, yeah, because, there's.
And I'm going to
there's the
ask
fund,
Mr.
there's
Forbes
the
if there's any
program,
case
there's-
law on this too. It's too new. Or that's an unfair question without research.
I don't know if there's any case law, but I can tell you that I've reviewed it, and it is the same language that's from the Village Officers Handbook.
Okay.
And that
But we could
that
have a layman's
handbook,
term and how about that, yeah.
village officers' handbooks put out by the auditor's office.
Correct.
Yes.
That's okay, yes.
Wasn't something we came up with.
Right, no, not at all. Okay, I have a couple things I want to mention. First is, we've had a real rash of garbage can issues of late. And I know it's frustrating for citizens, and we get calls about garbage cans sitting out, and we also have spent a lot of time driving around finding garbage cans that, can be everything from they're setting them out too early. Or most often it's a case where it's simply put in a place where it's visible from the street, which is not permitted under our current code. So we continually put it on the website. I will put another article in the journal just to highlight it. We have to send a letter, but again, if anybody does receive a letter, we just happen to see it maybe the one time you left it out. Although we do have some repeat offenders at this point in time. So if everybody could just kind of be aware of the deadlines that we have in our code, and we'll reiterate those again in the journal so everybody has them handy and knows when they should or should not be setting the garbage out and the proper placement of their cans during the time, between collections. So big enough issue, I thought I should mention it. The other thing, I passed around Joel Suggs, who is here tonight. He has asked for an amendment. Asked for some amendments to the contract that council approved last year for the 2015. The front page summarizes the 4 points where he'd like to make the amendments. The additional pages kind of point to where those would be. One is to add an additional $1,000 to include fuel costs. Another is to change to well, you can kind of look at them. They're details. Portalets, charging no more than 3 months to the golf course. approval of items that, if you recall, this year we have a total amount from which the monthly expenses will be subtracted. And the fourth item is to delete reference for all revenue on a daily basis. I guess I'm looking for council's guidance on this. I'm opposed to adding additional money. Every dollar we have this year is really tight, and I know I'm not telling you anything new on that. I really believe, as far as the other items are concerned, we've had a sit-down meeting, and I think Matt and Joel speak frequently and will continue to, that I don't believe it's necessary to add the level of detail or be concerned even about the daily revenue. That wasn't the case last year. We pretty well know what to expect in terms of when the deposits will come in, things like that. So that is my opinion, and I guess I'd like to find out where council would like to go with that.
Do you want to refer to the committee?
Okay, put it, is this in the recreation or was this in finance? Where was the
Yes.
contract, or laws and rules?
No, it's,
Finance, wasn't it?
if you assign it to me, I'll take it.
The
Okay.
resolution was passed as a finance resolution.
Okay. Take it.
Thank you, sir. We'll be talking about it at a work session. Thank
Okay.
you.
And that is all I have for now.
Okay. Law Director, Mr. Forbes?
Thank you. Nothing really to report, although I will say that probably since the last time we met with me here, House Bill 5 has passed, signed by the governor, all of that stuff. So it is now, final version is out there for analysis. In fact, I just today got the official final analysis from the Ohio Legislative Service Commission that sort of summarizes the changes and the impact. We'll be reviewing that. But it is, and it goes into effect technically January 1st of 2016. So basically they gave us this much time to figure out what
just
we need
happened.
to do.
And no doubt would have to modify some of our ordinances to comply with it. Or-
Well, yeah, I mean, in essence, what it says is if you want to continue implementing and collecting an income tax after January 1st, 2016, you basically have to modify your ordinance to comply totally with the new changes of this bill. So that's what we're looking into now. See,
Okay.
took the 600-page bill down to about a 60-page summary analysis, and we'll see what we need to do.
So we got this year to take care of it.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? Clerk of Council, Catherine Lives.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The public notices that were put forth are the cancellation of the December 23rd, 2014 regular council meeting and cancellation of the Streets and Services Committee meeting of December 29th, 2014, which was rescheduled to January 5th, 2015. The December 2014 community calendar and ordinance numbers 2014 12F, 13F, 14F, and 15F, and resolutions numbers 2014 38F, 39 CD, 40 CD, 41F, 42F, and 43F were posted as required. And if there are no questions, that would conclude my report.
Okay. Chief of Police, Neil Ferdelman.
Thank you, Mayor. We did have a lot of work for the 2015 budget. We had an officer who resigned last July, and that position wasn't filled last year, and it was filled this year. And then due to budgetary concerns, we changed the parameters for part-time officers working this year, and that did result in resignations of two of our officers effective on December 31st. And those three positions will result in a reduction of over $50,000 to our budget. As mentioned, the two officers, Aaron Schluter, had over 8 years of service with us, and Ray Tensing had 3 years of service with us. In conjunction with those changes, we made a new policy requiring our officers to pick most of their vacation and holiday requests earlier this year, so we have a more planned structure for when our reduced number of part-time officers will be working. One of the other budget-related items was a cooperative effort with the manager in sending a letter to Creative Microsystems. They were the vendor for our court software. We have discontinued or notified them of our intent to sever the contract at the end of this month. We will be adding a court module from our police software package, PAMET Systems. And that change will do two things. Number one, it'll make us more efficient because it puts all of our data in one package, so it'll eliminate some data redundancies. But the total savings for the next 2 years by making that change is over $8,000. So that was a significant move. In the month of December, we did investigate 5 accidents, 4 crimes, which was the same as last December. 262 other incidences were up from 135 the previous December. We had 965 contacts with citizens as compared to 693 last December. 775 of those were self-initiated by our police officers. We provided assistance to the public 185 times compared to 120 times the previous year. Assisted other agencies 73 times, made 54 traffic arrests, and 34 criminal arrests. I noted in my written report to you that it was not an easy year to be a police officer. One of the things that we are doing to address some of the issues that have arisen across the nation in law enforcement is training. We've implemented and I've mandated a training for all of our officers that will protect our citizens while we protect ourselves. The training is called Below 100, and the reason for that acronym is to try and get officer-related deaths under 100 nationally, and all of our officers will be attending that training within the coming months, and through some grant writing done by the state, that is at no cost to us, and it's good quality training as well.
Where does that take place?
Principally at Blue Ash, Mr. Halder.
Any other questions, comments?
I really appreciate the email as you're saving the paper.
We're counting
I'm
every
sitting there
penny.
going, what is he talking about? I don't see anything. It was in the email, so it's a good idea. That was great.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to report for the fire chief?
I'll probably mention some stuff in my report.
Okay. All right. For the mayor's report, I have some audited court receipts. And generally, with my new eye, I can see better, but Matt, these things that print out are so small, I have to use my reading glasses to see.
You got a new eye?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
How much
well,
it cost?
$3,500. Not bad.
I'd do the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. I think we missed December's, so I'll give December's. State of Ohio received $1,379.90 for doing nothing. Treasurer of Hamilton County received $50.10, and the Village of Greenhills received $5,224.09. For the month of January, the January report for the month of December, rather. The state received $1,833.50. Treasurer of Hamilton County, $61.50. Village of Green Hills, $6,745. And it was a grand total of $8,640. And the other one was $6,654.99. Just another method to help the state from not having to pass a tax increase. They can just levy assessments on various things. And I wanted to make a comment, too, on the trash cans. And actually, today I talked with somebody who uses a walker to get around, or a cane and walker combination. And they have somebody that comes and takes their trash can out and back for them. And this individual was not one of the ones who received a notice because that person showed up. But she said there are times that he forgets to come to take her can back out. And the Rumpke guy has sort of moved it into her driveway for her sometimes, and other times she has to get a hold of the person to ask him to come and do that. And so, you know, if you're in town and you have a neighbor that struggles to get the cans in and out, or you know, maybe give them a hand. So, because some people are just, you know, lazy, but there are some people that have a reason that are unable to get their cans back in or out to the street. All right, moving on, unless somebody has a question.
No, I also was going to make the comment that when I circulate to see the garbage in the neighborhoods, there also has been an increase of mattresses without covers. So I always kind of call first thing in the morning, but that would be when I see them is Saturday. So I call first thing on Monday, that doesn't get picked up till Tuesday. We had rain, we had snow. It's a mess. Perhaps might be a good idea to put another little reminder on the paper about that.
Maybe Yvonne can add that to her article about the trash cans.
Sure.
Mattresses?
Right, well, actually mattresses and sofas,
So
those,
anything upholstered
right,
needs to be covered.
to keep, you know, just in case they have bed bugs, it keeps the bed bugs from getting on the garbage collectors, so they won't pick it up unless
Yeah,
it's
Rumpke will not pick
covered
it up.
in a bag, unless it's bagged.
Okay. Huh.
Okay, moving on, committee reports, finance and audit, Mr. Greaves.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since two people have already commented on garbage cans, and I was active in that category also, I will just pass, and I contemplated saying something about our regulations tonight, and I thought, you know what? Most of the people here that are involved with violations are probably not listening to us tonight or in the audience, so I'll move on. We did not have a Finance and Audit Committee this month, although I did have multiple meetings and discussions with the Finance Director and the Manager concerning the appropriation that we'll consider later tonight. I did want to comment on a couple things from 2014, and at the before our retreat, you'll have the full financial report from 2014, but I want to share a couple of highlights from 2014 of what I call the big numbers, and I'll round these off to $1,000 increments, just as a little bit of comparison. And I think this is helpful for citizens as they understand the budget constraints that we live under as a community. In 2014, the income tax produced $1,022,000, which is $33,000 more than the $989,000 that was collected in 2013. So, bottom line, income tax collection was up $33,000. That means that there are more people working or more people making money. And quite frankly, this is the biggest piece of our budget, of our revenue for the general fund is in the income tax. The second biggest piece is the real estate tax. And as you know, recessions have many effects, including decreased value of real estate. And so we collected less real estate tax. In 2014, we collected $362,000 as compared to $378,000. So we were down $15,000 in that category. Overall, general revenue funds from 2014 to 2000, as compared to 2013, were down $176,000. And the biggest contributor to that was the inheritance tax that we received in 2013 was $286,000. When you see changes in taxation at the state level, predominantly the local government fund and the inheritance tax, it had a very severe impact on this village. And we've been talking about it for the last few years, and this is the reality. The general fund at the end of 2013 had a balance of $1,320,000. At the end of 2014 had a balance of $1,073,000. So our balance declined $246,000. And there are various and sundry reasons for that, including our debt payments and some things that were funded in 13, or budgeted in 13, but not paid until 14. Just as a reminder for citizens, there's really, my way of explaining this, there are 3 steps to spending money that the village has. The first step is the budget that we do in July, and that's really our spending plan for the fiscal year, and our fiscal year is the calendar year. So that's passed in July, or it's worked on in July and then passed in July and then approved by the county, usually the 3rd week or so in September. That's the first step, is a budget or a spending plan. The second step is what we call appropriation, and that is council's passing of legislation to allow the money to be spent. So we make motions and pass ordinances to spend money, and we'll do that tonight. And then the third step is the actual spending of the money by the finance director, pays the bills that come in that we have appropriated money for. And in 2014, we appropriated $2,138,000, but we spent $2,095,000. So even though we gave authorization to spend money, 2% of the money that we authorized was not spent. So that's kind of a little bit of the financial highlights from 2014. And I know it's a little unfair to read numbers to people, and it's a little harder to comprehend, but a final year-end financial report will be available shortly. So that's that. There's 2 other things that are kind of outside the realm of finance and audit, but I'm going to take a shot at them anyway tonight. The Northeast is experiencing some very severe weather. I know there were over 7,000 flights canceled, roads closed, cities shut down, mass transit shut down. And I would just offer 2 thoughts about that. There's a website called ready.gov. And I think every citizen ought to look at it and say, what if something happened? Could I defend my family in place for 3 days if I didn't have utilities, if I didn't have water, if I couldn't get out to get food? And there's some very good material there that's well worth reading. The other thing, one of the things I've always said, people say, what makes Greenhills a great place to live? And I always say neighbors care about neighbors. So for the sake of our salt budget, I'm hoping that we don't have any severe weather from now going forward the rest of the winter, but it's likely that we will. And I would just say help keep that characteristic of neighbors helping neighbors true by checking on your neighbors, especially the elderly, if we do incur some difficult weather. And then the last item I want to talk about is the golf course. Last year, there was a lot of money and effort spent in improving the golf course. We were the recipient of a grant that allowed us to do quite a few things. The Suggs Properties that manages the golf course and runs it for us has incorporated several creative things for golfers to improve their game. It's a great facility to play at. It's a great facility to practice at. You can stop on the way home from work and get around in less than an hour and still be home for dinner. It is an asset that we have in our community, but it needs to be supported. And so I would encourage you to get on the website, the village website. If you're a regular golfer, I would encourage you to join as a member. There's a discounted rate right now. And join and use the facilities that we have here. Invite your friends to do so, form a league. have your birthday party there and invite your 7 best friends to play golf with you, spend quality time with your spouse or your children.
What if
It's a-
7 best friends?
I'll be your best friend, Greg.
Okay, for a day.
So I would just encourage you to use it. It's a great facility, and it's a little underutilized, quite frankly, and we want everybody to use that as much as possible. And that concludes my report and my advertisement.
All right.
I'd like to have a comment,
Yeah.
not a question. Just want to let you know, since you've taken over finance, I guess it's been 3 years now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think you've done an excellent job of keeping us informed. I think you know more about the budget than I think any other council person ever had before. And I think you make it your business to understand that, and I really appreciate that. I really do. I mean
Thank
it
you.
honestly.
I appreciate it.
And I feel comfortable knowing that you're a part of the finance committee, because you'll let us know exactly what's going on.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you.
And I'll make one comment in case people watching didn't pick up on it, that the inheritance tax has been eliminated by the state.
Yes.
And they've reduced our local government fund monies. And probably if you averaged it out over the last 20 years, we probably averaged 150,000 a year maybe in inheritance tax.
It's more. I think it's even close to 2.
Some years as high as
Yeah.
almost a $500,000. So that's thanks to the Alzheimer's Center. But unfortunately, that source of funding has impacted us a great deal of losing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's not a philosophical comment about whether there should be an inheritance tax or not. It's a reality comment that money that we used to get and regularly count on is no longer there.
Right.
Right, and knowing that other municipalities are being impacted even more severely,
Yeah.
just because of the size that they are.
Yeah.
And that they're doing the same type of thing that we're doing, trying to figure out ways how we can save money, because, that several other municipalities that they're losing several $1 million a year,
Yeah.
and it's tough.
Okay, moving on, Recreation Cable TV, Mr. Hermes.
I don't have a whole lot to talk about, to be honest with you. There was a meeting last Wednesday. I wasn't able to attend, and I know they talked about the several things that were on the agenda in reference to the walking paths that are coming up. Want to be able to have those cemented, if you will, in by the springtime, so they're going to be of use. And I know that there's another person there was Peggy Hermes that stepped down as far as being secretary and being a part of the Recreation Commission, and there's another gentleman, and hopefully you'll get the honors to say you accept Sean Patterson. He wants to be a part of the Recreation Commission. Now I know he was part of the meeting here last Wednesday, so that's really about it. I know that in talking about it, they're getting ready and getting wound up for what's going to be happening for the spring and summer as far as different events, and so, keeping informed. They have a monthly meeting, so that's it.
Questions? Moving on, Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules. Mr. Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next meeting of the committee meeting will be on February 23rd at 10 a.m. That's a Monday morning. We will be discussing several different items that will be brought to us by the village manager concerning garage door ordinance, junk collectors, junk trucks regulations, and some updates on the employee manual. So those, we've kind of talked briefly about that informally, but we'll bring that up as part of a committee as well. If I could add my 2 cents worth on House Bill 5 and kind of tag on Mr. Dree's comments concerning the cutbacks in state fundings that now House Bill 5 has the effect of the state now tells us how to collect taxes and will be managing those taxes, and always a little bit fearful that what goes to Columbus doesn't always necessarily come back from Columbus. So, you know, let's hope that this year's review of the components of House Bill 5 have some safeguards in there for us. There was one item, I was contacted by someone from the school concerning an issue at the school property directly behind the community building. The ball field there for years has been made available for the local baseball league to have games there. And I don't know the specifics, but it would seem to be that during the time period that they had received a grant from the Cincinnati Reds Foundation, that a basketball goal that was part of the basketball courts behind the community building was either damaged or somehow errantly removed. And the school was saying, hey, we'd like to have that back. Unfortunately, I think the story's gotten twisted around that somehow that this was part of the recreation committee, and we don't have. But I'd certainly like to know if anyone knows who the proper contact is for the baseball folks now. Kind of get to the bottom of this and try to work out.
I can fill you in a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, even at the time when we were actually doing that and expanding it, because they wanted to widen it and make it more...
A legal field, right.
Yes, exactly. And I had contacted Winton Woods School District and talked to the person that was in charge of that and letting them know that we were going to be taking a portion of that asphalt that was there along with one of those baskets. It didn't make any difference to him because it really wasn't being used at the time. So we got permission to go ahead and do that, to expand it.
That's not when the actual basketball hoop was...
Eliminated?
Yeah, because it was backed over by a truck that was delivering dirt to the field. That's what happened.
You mean after that fact?
Yeah.
Like maybe a year or so ago?
It wasn't that long. It was this past spring or something.
Oh, okay, wow.
I think it's been about 2 years.
Or
2
has it
years,
been 2
yeah.
years? I don't know.
Fine.
Okay, 2 years. No, the truck was there delivering dirt and accidentally, it wasn't really set as well as it could be because it had been there for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how much effort it took to knock it over, but it took it out. And my understanding is that's not our property.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so it not being our property, I'm not sure, you know, it's our place to respond, other than letting them know that it's not our property.
Well,
Was it people who were delivering the dirt for the ball field? Is that what it was?
Greg,
That was my
your
understanding.
guess is as good as
I mean, I
mine.
know John McDaniel at the time was a part of when they got that money from Cincinnati Reds. I know he's not involved so much anymore because his kids have grown and, you know, playing baseball elsewhere in high school and so on, but
So is it down one basketball goal or two?
just...
One.
Yeah, one.
Because I can't remember who I asked what had happened, but, you know, I didn't know who's responsible for
But
the
they were
placement.
asking you about getting another
Well,
goal?
yeah, the inquiry was made, you know, and it was being thrown at, make a connection with the recreation committee.
Okay.
And I knew that wasn't correct.
Who was the person that talked to you in reference to that?
Gary Sweetman.
Okay. Yeah, that's not the gentleman that I talked to when I got the information to go.
Steve Denny's the business manager that would have some. But I mean, there's another issue up there with the stability of the dugouts up there, and
I knew originally they weren't built to code. My understanding is that they had to make some changes.
And they did.
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
sure?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I've got pictures. I was walking my daughter's dog by there, and I had pictures when the whole thing was collapsed and nails were sticking up and everything else. So it went back up, and I thought that they were working to match code at that point. But other than the attempts to burn them down, which was another...
Did Gary Sweetman make mention of that as well, about the dugouts?
No,
Okay, somebody else had.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, since that's sort of recreational, you'll,
Yeah, I'll
Look into
definitely
that.
check
if
it
you
out
could
first.
just, if you could just get me the contact and we'll,
Okay.
with the ball league.
Just
Yeah, I'll do that.
one other comment. It was my understanding that if the Reds Fund actually gave funds, that there was supposed to be some kind of maintenance agreement along with that the teams would actually participate in keeping the fields up. Is that true?
Don't know. I don't know what they had with that. I mean, I can always call John and find out what it was, because he's the one who really got that all together.
Okay.
and the village may have agreed to doing something with that. But I can't remember what was discussed. That was sort of in the transition period between...
Well, somebody should have
Myself
some
and
original documents, and maybe we can...
John does.
I just,
I know John
I just didn't want the village to be blamed for something that we had no party of. so,
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Moving on. Service and Streets, Councilmember Walther.
I had attempted to have the meeting on the 5th of January, and I just had to exchange questions, answers, kind of things with the village employees. Then I attempted to have another one on this past Monday and was not able to have a quorum either. So what I did was the summary of my questions and answers. I went ahead and sent it to Mrs. Lives as a summary, not as a minutes, or because I didn't have a quorum, I couldn't have a meeting. But this is how much I found out, that the waterworks portion of the Winton Woods, the Winton Road project is 95% completed. The rest will be in March of 2015. Also, the village manager is expecting to learn more about the municipal road funding in February. We're still waiting for the state bid to be awarded for the service truck. We have some tree planting that we have done, and we are looking forward to the spring to have some more tree planting. We assess the fact that the salt supplies remains good at this time. We are waiting with anticipation for the next potholes that are going to be sprouting due to the next winter months. Hopefully not too many. I just also want to mention that it was a wonderful site, and just to give an idea of how many extra things we have to be thankful for, our service department. I just found them in the winter going around all Winter Road there towards the edge of the demarcation of the village with garbage cans, picking up garbage. And they have the truck that says the Village of Greenhills on the one end, and they were just rolling those garbage cans down with the trash that they picked up on both sides of the road in there. It was incredible. They did a great job cleaning it up. I also want to mention that we had very good accomplishments that were met on 2014 in Streets and Services. The painting of the service building, that was the kind of paramount to anything else that we have been trying to do for several years. We had a couple of bicycle racks installed in the square. We had relocated some benches, so the new sidewalk had some area of rest for the new walking paths that are going to be marked in there. There was an extensive pruning that was done, and one of them was I called because I am not very tall, and I know that this is hard for you to imagine me saying that, but when I was walking on one of the tree areas there, the planting area that belongs to us, and suddenly I almost got knocked down by one of the branches. I realized that something needed pruning. So mentioning my stature and the fact of the height of the branch made such an impact, and a lot of those things were taken care of right away. It was very refreshing to see that as long as you tell somebody that there is a problem, it's being done. So it's very refreshing. Wanted to also mention that there were several painting jobs that they have done besides that. Now for 2015, we are in front of the mandates of new signage having to do with street signage. It has to be reflective and so forth. It's going to cost a lot of money. We have to, they are due by 2018. So we talked about, Ms. Kovac, perhaps you can add something to that, to perhaps figure out some kind of a plan on how to get it started, or how much the RFPs, and try to work a little bit on that. Right now, the number one item is the service truck, that we are waiting for that. And on the 9th of January, I met with Mr. Moore. We happened to go to the same meeting of the Hamilton County Board of Health. I met this past Monday Jeff Halter at the Historical Society there, so we do cross paths around here. And I will be attending on the 29th, which is on Thursday, the Hamilton County Municipal League, and it will be held in Blue Ash. And our next meeting for Street and Services would be on February the 23rd at 9 a.m.
Questions, comments?
I want to give thanks to the Services Department. In our traffic and safety meeting yesterday, it was brought up that there was a few illegal signs on posts, and I noticed that today they were taken down. So good job with the Services Department hearing concerns and taking care of the problem.
What were the illegal signs?
We buy houses for cash.
Oh, really?
On telephone pole. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, moving on, community development, Councilmember Halter.
Well, speaking of buying houses for cash, we are continuing to, if they were offering enough cash, then they could buy some buildings from us. We're continuing to move out of that area of business and responsibly sell homes. The other thing I'd like to mention is that we've set up a calendar for, thanks to Maria's encouragement. Monday, got the wrong one, that's rec. Monday, May 18th, 2015, 7 to 8 p.m. in the council chambers. We'll have Jack and I will have a community development committee meeting, as well as Monday, October 19th this year, 7 to 8, council chambers as well. Also, just might be a little bit redundant, but if you wanted more information about the building doctor, you can go to ohiohistory.org. We're hoping to get the application so that you could just click on our website to download that and connect there. I think some exciting things are happening with the Historical Society. It seems like there's a new, fresh spark there. I'm sure it has to do with the members that were there last night. But we do live in a great place, and there's a lot of good things that go unnoticed to many people, not only outside the community, but within the community. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Well, hearing no questions, comments, traffic and safety, Councilmember
Roll call, it's fine.
Okay, sorry.
Let's not be too confusing. We did meet yesterday at 4:30. We are going to continue to meet on the fourth Monday of the month at 4:30 unless otherwise discussed. The Chief of Police gave his report, and we discussed some of the same items that he brought up tonight, so I won't go into that. The fire department mentioned that they have been working on their EMT refresher, so they're working on some new protocols and going through that process. They also brought up that Hamilton County has a mutual aid contract that the fire chiefs have signed, and so they're bringing it to us. We're going to review that and bring it in front of council not today, but at the appropriate time after we've had a chance to review it. They mentioned that their engine is 25 years old, and so they're going to start researching replacing it. It wouldn't be for this year, but they want to start the process to get it started, and the quint is about to be paid off, which is good news. And then they just updated some of the fire station concerns with the building, including the painting project. They should be finishing that in the spring. the east side has some mold, mildew, kind of, that needs to be removed.
It's the exterior.
The exterior,
side.
yes.
Yeah, it's like-
But just because it's just taking a little bit longer than they had hoped. Another thing, we did also talk about the garbage cans, so that seems to be a subject in every single committee. And then also, we had a little, Yvonne gave us an update on the traffic light issues. Duke has let us know that there's been some power surges that has caused some of our traffic lights to malfunction or to blink. So they are investigating that and will keep us apprised. I did ask if that might affect any of our residences, and they're unclear at this time if it will. So there have been some power surges in the power lines. So the manager will keep on top of that for us. So.
Actually, now that you mention it, it explains some of the things happening in my upstairs office. The lights rolling a little bit more and coming down. I wonder if there's a correlation. But.
And it could just be the infrastructure, the age. There's unknowns at this time.
Squirrels.
Okay.
It is a possibility. We do have quite a few of those.
Any questions of the traffic and safety?
I forgot to mention this yesterday at our traffic and safety meeting, but it should be in our minutes somewhere that the group that meets once a year to hold a fireman's dependency fund meeting did meet in January. God forbid, but if we ever had a member of our fire department killed in the line of duty, there is a very minuscule amount of life insurance for them, and that's part of the reason that we meet and do the paperwork for that and get it back. So that has been accomplished for this year.
Great.
All right. New business. I'm going to ask, I don't know if we need to change, but Kathy, at the proper time, motion to appoint a person to the Recreation Commission. Do we need to make a change in the agenda for that?
Yeah, you would need to add it.
Okay. And also a motion to, where's that motion? On the adopting.
We've got to retain the rules of council.
Right. Motion to retain the current rules of council.
Now would be the proper
Okay.
time
Okay.
to add all three of those motions.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to retain the rules of council.
Oh, we got to change the
No,
agenda.
to add it to the agenda, to amend the agenda to
Add the rules of.
Reaffirm.
reaffirm the rules of council. I'll never do this again. So the motion is to amend the agenda to reaffirm the rules of council. Is that?
And?
And?
Oh, you want me to do all three?
Go ahead.
And what was the?
Make an appointment to the mayor's appointment.
And
A
to-
motion to approve the mayor's appointment to the Recreation Commission.
And for the council officers.
Yeah, to make an appointment to amend the agenda to allow the mayor to make an appointment to
the Recreation Commission.
I'm so glad I'm on TV. The third,
You look good in red.
Oh,
The officers of council.
the officers of council
is the third.
is the third.
Is to elect officers of council.
Okay, and the third point is to add to the agenda to elect the officers of council.
Bingo.
Is that it?
That's
That's
plenty.
more than I bargained for.
I'll second that.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yeah.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I hear no nays. Okay. All right, new business. First thing, Resolution 2015-03-F, resolution approving the Greenhills annual permanent appropriations for 2015. Councilmember Dries.
Mr. Mayor, I have Resolution 2015-03F, resolution approving the Greenhills annual permanent appropriation for 2015. A resolution to make permanent appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the Village of Greenhills, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015 pursuant to Exhibit A, permanent appropriation for 2015 attached hereto and by reference made a part hereof. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, State of Ohio, that to provide for the current expenses and other expenditures of the Village of Greenhills during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015, the following sums be and they are hereby set aside and appropriated as follows, namely, Section 1, that there be appropriated from the general fund $1,920,800. Section 2, that there be appropriated from the special revenue funds $1,306,378. Section 3, that there be appropriated from the debt bond retirement fund $901,301. Section 4, that there be appropriated to the special assessment fund $49,300. Section 5, that there be appropriated from capital projects funds $508,398 for a grand total of $4,686,177 for all funds. Section 6, and the village finance director is hereby authorized to draw warrants for payments from any of the foregoing appropriations upon receiving proper certificates and vouchers therefor, approved by the board or officers authorized by law to approve the same, or an ordinance or resolution of council to make the expenditures, provided that no warrant shall be drawn or paid for salaries or wages except to persons employed by authority of and in accordance with law and ordinance. Section 7, this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon passage. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
And should we say this resolution versus this ordinance?
Yes, I believe I said did I say ordinance or did I say resolution?
I think you said resolution.
It is a resolution, so I think the proper word there should be resolution. Let me read Section 7 again so that it is clear as to my intent. Section 7, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
I second.
Okay, any questions, discussion, clarifications?
Just a couple of comments. This resolution is consistent with what was in the budget. There's not more dollars being appropriated than were in the budget.
Just a couple things.
Yes.
On capital projects, I wanted council to be clear that that reflects grant money we received for the Winton Road
Phase
project
2.
and for the rainwater project.
Yes.
The special assessment is our tree assessment.
Ready to vote? All those in favor, we have roll call.
Roll call.
Aye.
Dries.
Aye.
Halter.
Aye.
Hermes.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Walther. Aye.
Okay, resolution 2015-03-F carries. Next one, Mr. Dries has also is resolution 2015-04-F, resolution confirming the level of control for annual appropriations.
All right, this is a resolution. We'll read it all as required. Resolution 2015-04-F, resolution confirming the level of control for the annual appropriation, whereas Ohio budgetary law calls out levels of control for the annual appropriation of municipalities, and whereas the Greenhills annual appropriation is prepared in a manner giving village council control at the fund and program levels and the amount designated for personal services, any changes to these levels must be approved by village council, and whereas village council desires to minimize the number of appropriation amendments by confirming the management level of control over the appropriation, now therefore be it resolved by the council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, that Section 1, the management level of control is below the legal level of control which is established by the appropriation resolution at the object level of the appropriation. These types of changes can be made by the finance director with permission of the municipal manager. Any changes to the appropriation at the legal level of control will require village council approval. Section 2, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution 2015-04F.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 2015-04-F.
I'm going to request that the manager provide some comments on
Okay.
this. Thank you.
Okay, well, and I got my backup in the audience here, so he understands this a lot better. But I've been trying to think how I can explain this in more layman's terms. And if you look at the appropriation that you just passed, you know, it's broken down by general fund, street maintenance fund, you know, the special funds. Those are the funds, and your control is at the fund and then the program level. Like, for example, within the general fund is the police, community, planning, post office. You can read, those are the different program levels. It's also like for each one you have to have a personal services outlined, and then the all other expenses. Do you see those on your list there? Okay, that is what is meant by your fund and program levels. Did I say that okay, Matt?
Yes, the object level is within the personal services and the other expenses.
And that is where management's control has been. I don't see that you're giving anything up. You've always approved it at this level. You will continue to approve it at this level, correct? Does
So
that
we're
help?
talking roughly $29,000 on those two, or?
Are you looking at a specific one?
No, where you said personal, oh, you mean all these
Yeah,
personal services?
all of those, right.
All right.
You'll see that there's a personal service for anywhere where there are those categories. You'll see that as well as
Right.
all other expenses. So movement can only be within those. It can't be between them. It can only be within them. Anything other than that would come to you for approval.
So this is the level we approve it, and there's actually additional levels beneath the categories we see.
Correct.
And those additional levels, you're allowed to change funds, but you can't change it from what we just passed.
Correct. Right. Anything you just passed would have to
You want to come on
back
up
you
here,
for
Matt?
changes.
Just state your name and address.
With that, nothing really changes with this. It's just more of a confirming it, and what I'm allowed, or what we are allowed to change is, like, say in the general fund, you have the general fund, then the police, and then in other. Like, what we would be doing is, say, we'd be moving a utilities line to a contract service or something along those lines, just for a housekeeping type deal.
And then the source, you talked about this coming from the auditor's office, or did I?
Or how it was written, you mean?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
This is all lifted right there from the village officer's handbook, which is put out by the state auditor's
Okay.
office.
And the legal level of control is described in AOC, I think it's 117-202C1.
And we're consistent.
That makes sense.
So you're reading pleasure. Jeff, and you've reviewed this. This is consistent with what other municipalities do, and you don't see any problems, and you don't see we're derelict in our duties or giving up control or lack of fiduciary responsibility
No.
here? Okay.
Especially given that you just passed just right before that, you passed the appropriation. And nothing at that level can change without coming back to council.
I see this as, we were always going and making appropriations for all these little small things, and that just kind of takes it away where we don't really need to do that, and what we were doing before, isn't that correct? We were having all these different appropriations we had to pass and pay.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in the past, we did have a lot of detail that probably
Didn't
kind of
need
stupid
to.
to have to come to council, but
Especially when you do
still,
this
no,
kind
it
of
didn't.
passing in the very beginning, as far as these funds will be going over to these particular, priorities and what they're set aside for. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah, it's
we're agreeing to
certainly-
that, for sure, and then all those little small things as far as, hey, let's put $5,000, $2,000, $3,000 over here, we're flip-flopping, it's those kind of things where managerial and finance director, that's your job, that's what we trust for you to do. And it's not going to be any more than we're appropriating before this other
Right.
resolution.
Any of this changes, it will be back in front of you.
Right.
Well, there's two things that bother me about this. Number one, when we make the appropriation to a particular category, even within that category, I feel that that doesn't quite imply that the cash is available to be spent somewhere else. It bothers me that movement, that flexibility of that. Together with that, I know that the amendments for modifications on the appropriation measures that we have, I understand they're trying to simplify it. I want it to be a little bit clearer, and I know you gave me a copy of the paper, Ms. Kovac, because I came to you yesterday. I know that I went to you and you gave me the ones from the accounting part in there. It just feels that you're robbing Peter to pay Paul somehow in there, and yet the cash was appropriated for a particular even sub-level of that account. That bothers me, and the second part of it that bothers me was, and this is not anything having to do with this particular issue, but the fact that we have a work session in which I thought that perhaps this should have been brought over there so we could have made these comments and asked those questions, and yet this is the first time that we just have it here to vote on. So those are two separate things that are bothering me about this particular issue. When we made the work session to have it prior to the actual council meeting, we stated at that time, and I remember, this would be really great because we're going to be able to discuss beforehand what we're going to be voting on, and we can arrive to an understanding of it. It seems like we also skipped that middle step in there, so I feel a little bit, I'm a very, would say, left-brain regimented, and somehow on that addition, something was taken out, and I don't feel comfortable with it, and those are my feelings about it. And I know that you explained that, and we talked about it. We spent a lot of time yesterday. I spent an immense amount of time on the website from the auditors, the state auditors today, went through PowerPoint presentations on this whole issue itself, and I don't feel copacetic about it. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry about that.
Any other?
Something I will say, though, is that the legal level is set by council. You can choose to have a lower level of control. If you want to refine down to the object level, you can do that. It's up to council. So this is just playing within the boundaries of what's already set. That's all this is.
It just feels that somehow on the finance of the village, that was part of the job that I was elected to do, and I feel
don't think so. I think we were elected to manage at this level. I really do, in a broad sense. I think when we get in to a point where we're micromanaging and minutia,
That's why you hire these people here to go do that. That's why you trust them to do that.
And you have an audit to verify.
Yeah. I mean, you're
Which we will have this
verifying
year,
upon
right?
verifying, and right now you trust that they're doing everything where it should be, just like what Jeff Forbes says, just like where they got the information and how it was worded in this resolution. It just makes sense. So it's like you can question everything until you die, and that means, the way I look at it right now, every time something like that's brought up, you're saying, I don't really trust you, Yvonne. I don't really trust you either, Matt. So we're going to make sure it's going to be worded the way we think it should be worded because we don't trust you. That's the way I would feel if I was in their position. That's what, and it pains me, when all these things are brought up, because you guys will never do that. And you know what I mean? It's good for the village what you're doing. You're just trying to help out. So that's the way I look at it.
Is this a change of what we've done in the past?
No,
This is just codifying.
This has always been part of the OAC and how it's all done. This is just more of just putting it on the books and alerting the council just as to what we're doing with it.
Yes, we've done this for 25, 30 years, something like that.
Maria, in your study of what was on the auditor's website, and I think Mr. Yost he's pretty much a stickler for details in my read of him. I mean, were any of your concerns brought up in what he spoke
The
of?
part of it also was time-wise, because I became aware of this on Sunday. We just didn't have a work session on that, so I have not, I'm not going to apologize for the way I feel. I just, this is the way I feel, and like I said, I'm just very systematic on my organization of thought, and that's just thought I brought that up. Time-wise, I felt very constrained, and I started working on it, and the more I started working on it, the more I found out, and then I just felt, well, it's 5:15.
Can I make a recommendation that, just to respect your opinion, we're not in a rush to have to do this right now, correct? We can do this leave this open for a work session. I feel good about what I've heard from Jeff, where the source is, the fact we've done this for many years, but out of respect for some dissenting opinions, not only by Maria, but some of the audience, I don't think it hurts us to look at it at a work session and give you a chance. I feel like you need more details, though, than say I look at the website and don't feel good about it. That seems more right brain than left brain.
Well,
But,
Okay, well, do we,
but no, and that's okay. And I'm just saying this would give you
Well, it's already
some
been
time.
read and also seconded, so we have to do something with that now.
Yeah, let me ask a procedural question. If we decide to remove this from a vote, do I need to withdraw my motion to approve?
No.
Or do I set it aside?
I believe the question is, what is your desire? Is it to remove it completely or to postpone it to a certain time?
Yes, I would like to postpone it to a certain time, and that would be the February regular council meeting.
24th.
24.
Correct.
I don't know what the date is, but
Okay,
I'll trust you.
It's
So
the
the
24th
motion-
because the 23rd is Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. The motion then would be to postpone it to the regular council meeting of February 24th.
As you stated, so moved.
Second.
That's what I should have done.
do we need a roll call on
She
that, or
seconded that.
just ayes?
Voice vote is fine.
Okay. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay.
Nay.
Motion carries.
Can
Okay. One nay.
I also ask that it be brought up at our work session on...
I'll take care of that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
also to provide the permanent appropriation. I thought this was helpful when reviewing it, so to have this resolution at the work session to look at as well.
Okay, moving on, Resolution 2015-06-F, authorizing municipal manager to enter into an agreement with Sure Shot Landscaping.
We missed, you skipped 5.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I did.
I'll do that one.
Okay.
Resolution 2015-05F, resolution requesting the county auditor to make tax advances during the year 2015 pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 321.34, whereas the Ohio Revised Code allows the taxing authority to request payment from the county auditor funds derived from taxes or other sources to the county treasurer, which may be held on account of a location subdivision. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, the Auditor and Treasurer of Hamilton County, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 321.34, be required to draw and pay the Village of Greenhills upon written request of the Finance Director, Matt Sanders, to the County Auditor, funds due in any settlement of 2015 derived from taxes or other sources payable to the county treasurer to the account of the Village of Greenhills and lawfully applicable for purposes of the current fiscal year. Section 2, Clerk of Village of Greenhills be, and hereby is directed to transmit a certified copy of this resolution to the Auditor of Hamilton County, Ohio. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Resolution 2015-05-F. Shouldn't be any question of this, since this is...
No, we better do
want our
this or
money.
no mun, no fun is what they say.
Okay, roll call?
Dries.
Aye.
Halter.
Aye.
Hermes.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Walther. Aye. Brokaw.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2015-05-F, requesting our money from the county auditor, basically, passes. Okay, now we'll do resolution 2015-06-F. Mr. Drew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2015-06F, authorizing the municipal manager to enter into an agreement with Sure Shot Landscaping. Whereas the Village of Greenhills has determined that it is more economical and efficient to utilize a contractor for grass mowing services, whereas Sure Shot Landscaping submitted the lowest and best bid following a competitive bid process and is qualified to provide such services, and whereas therefore now be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, the municipal manager is hereby authorized to enter into an agreement that is substantially consistent with the attached agreement labeled as Exhibit A with Sure Shot Landscaping for grass mowing services. Section 2, that the finance director is authorized to make payments to Sure Shot Landscaping pursuant to the final agreement. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from the date of this passage. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Pass resolution 2015-06-F, authorizing municipal manager to enter into an agreement with Sure Shot Landscaping.
They're back.
Any comments or questions?
They used to cut our lawn before.
Okay, hearing none. Roll call.
Halter.
Aye.
Hermes.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Walther. Aye. Brokaw. Aye. Dries.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution number 2015-06-F carries. Okay, next item. Motion to establish a temporary chain of command in the absence of the municipal manager pursuant to Greenhills Chapter 4.30. And who's doing this? Oh, Lee. Okay.
Yes, that gets thrown. In your packet, there's an internal memorandum from the municipal manager. The purpose of this memorandum is to inform you that in the event that she is temporarily absent from the village, following chain of command would exist: finance director, police chief, executive assistant to the municipal manager, and the service foreman, pursuant to the Greenhills Charter, Section 4.30A, upon council's approval of this designated chain of command. I move that the temporary chain of command be accepted.
Be approved.
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions? All of those in favor, say aye. Those opposed,
Aye.
nay.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. All right, somebody want to make a motion to appoint Sean Patterson, approve the mayor's appointment of Sean Patterson to the Recreation Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And now we have another motion. Who's
Mr. Mayor, I move that the current rules of council be reaffirmed for the 2015 calendar year.
Can I
Yes.
jump in real quick? Of the two that are remaining, just to take them in the order that the charter provides for these two things, the officers, the one on the officers of council, I think should be done first.
Okay.
just to keep consistent with the order of the charter.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the President Pro Temp and Vice President Pro Temp be reappointed for the 2015 year.
Second?
Second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to keep the same President Pro Tem, Vice President Pro Tem.
And for clarification purposes, that's Mr. Dries as President Pro Temp and Mr. Hermes as Vice President Pro Temp.
Okay, all those in favor?
Is there any other motions entertained at this time, or?
Well, we've got a motion on the floor now. I don't,
I mean, there can be discussion,
yeah.
After the
Discussion?
and
second.
it can be amended.
Okay.
I would like to move for Melanie Brokaw to be the president. So I just feel that having the law degree, having worked 10 years on another government entity that she has, and the job that she has as a finance officer, I just...
Director of Operations.
Huh?
It's Director of
Director of
Operations.
Well, I would like to move for her to be considered.
So how do we handle that?
Well, I think what we were just saying is that I think there's a motion
There needs to be
already. This would, I think, be treated as a motion to amend, to change. You have a motion on the floor to basically reappoint Mr. Dries and Mr. Hermes. This would be treated as a motion to amend that motion for just President Pro Tem.
Can we have discussion before that?
Well, hold on, let's make sure we know what we're doing first. So you are making a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor.
Yes, sir.
To replace Mr. Dries with Ms. Brokaw.
Ms. Brokaw.
And Mr. Dries can be vice.
Well,
I was wondering if we could switch that then.
Go back and do the elections. But if this does not receive a second, it's moot.
Right. First, I think we need to be clear on what your motion is.
Can we have two motions on the floor at the same time?
There is a motion, and you can have a motion to amend that. But we have to be clear what the motion to amend is. Is it to appoint Ms. Brokaw as President Pro Tem and someone else as Vice President Pro Tem, or keeping Mr. Hermes Vice President Pro Tem as in the original? I just need to know what your
I didn't know that both of them had to be done simultaneously.
Well, the motion that's on the floor is to reappoint both.
Then the president would be Ms. Brokaw, and vice president then would be Mr. Dries.
Okay, so that's the motion to amend, and it would need a second.
It would need a second, but if there is objection to the motion to simply reaffirm, then you really should go back to the election process. So withdraw the motion to reaffirm and do the election.
And the only place we have room for discussion is post.
Is prior
responding
to the elections, exactly. And there would at this point be nominations from the council. So if there's no second to Ms. Walther's motion to amend, then the motion would be to retain as you have it, the appointment of Dries and Hermes, to keep that. If there is a second, then my suggestion would be to withdraw the motion, to retain, and go to the election process, because there's an objection. Obviously, two people are agreeing that, yeah, we need to talk about this, just redo the election process.
I second it on the basis of wanting to discuss it, so I second the amendment.
Okay. Then at this point, it would be my suggestion to simply withdraw the motion to amend and the motion to retain, and move to conduct the elections at this point?
Elections or discussion?
The elections would be, it depends on how you want to do them. If you want to do them by ballot, but there would be nominations.
The only reason I bring that up is I have no, from my vantage point, I have no idea of all the parties that are being involved with this, if they even had a clue that this was coming. And as far as I know, you could be gladly giving that position up. You could love the position, you could hate the position. I just have no bearing now that this has been laid on the table.
They should withdraw.
You should withdraw these motions, go to the election process, and nominate, but prior to the nomination, explain why you are nominating.
This has to be done tonight.
First,
Yeah, by charter, this is supposed to be done at the first regular council meeting of January.
Okay.
So does anybody want to withdraw their motion?
Well, at this point also, if Ms. Brokaw does not wish to serve, she can respectfully decline. Then you can go back to the motion to retain. Unless there's an objection to that motion, then you would need to go through the election process. So those are the options open to you.
No pressure.
And what's the election process
It would be
per se?
the nominations and then the vote.
But it's nominations, no discussion, election. I mean, when is there conversations?
Prior to, so that the election will take place for a mayor pro tem. Are there any nominations? Someone would nominate and say, I nominate Joe Smith because blah, 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 blah. Then you would, when the nominations are complete and there are no further nominations, then the vote is taken. After the nominations are closed, then the vote is taken, how many for Joe Smith, how many for Mary Smith, and the majority would prevail.
And I gave the reasons why I was nominating Ms. Brokaw at the beginning of it. Do I have to reinstate that?
I wouldn't think so.
What do you say? Before we keep on going on and on.
I was
you like
saying I'm kind of thinking I'd be interested in the vice position if just that would give me another year's experience before stepping into the president position. And it sounds like Councilman Hermes is willing to not be vice. So that's completely a third different amendment than what's even on the floor, which is why I'm so confused.
That's why there's an election, right?
That's why it's best to go back to the election process and do it by that process, as opposed to doing it by a motion to retain, which would be fine if there were no objections, but obviously, and that objections are not that someone objects, it's saying, I want to do it this way, I want to do something different.
if I believe the motion to amend has to be withdrawn first.
Correct.
And then reinstate it.
No.
No, all motions have to be withdrawn, and then
We
we
have
have
to
to
have a clean
Go back.
slate.
Okay, we'll have a clean slate, and then I'll withdraw my amendment.
Yeah, okay.
The motion to withdraw my amendment.
And that has, because it was seconded, it has to be by a voice vote because it does not belong to you, it belongs to the body. Therefore, it has to be
We're so glad
voted
you're
on.
here, Kathy.
Okay, all those in favor? Say
Aye.
Okay,
Okay,
all right,
then the motion to withdraw, the motion to reappoint or retain Mr. Dries and Mr. Hermes, because that was seconded, that needs to be by vote of the body as well.
I I withdraw my motion to reappoint the current president and vice president pro tem.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Now
Okay,
you're
motion
back
carries.
to Now you're back to, that's all gone. Now you're back.
And I'll do them one at a time.
Do we have to?
Exactly.
It's like punch his power and wash his hands.
Do we have to amend the agenda? No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, because what you will be doing now is going through the election process. So you will do them one at a time. I nominate so-and-so for President Pro Tem. I nominate so-and-so for President Pro Tem. And as you nominate, you can give your little
Okay.
spiel, if you will.
If we haven't already heard it. Okay. All right, I call for nominations for President Pro Tem.
I nominate Ms. Brokaw for President Pro Tem. And I already stated the reasons why. And I nominate.
Wait, we're just doing one.
Just the one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go one office at a time.
Okay.
Okay, so all of us has to say something, right?
No, you didn't.
Someone
We
can
just
nominate.
vote.
Are there any
unless
other
somebody-
nominations?
Oh, okay.
I nominate Glenn Dries for President Pro Tem
Oh, yeah.
And I think they should.
because
all-
I think he has done he's done an excellent job and deserves to be returned to that
Yeah,
position.
sure.
All right. Call for the
Any
vote.
other nominations?
Oh, any other nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are closed. Okay.
Now, it is up to you as to how you want to take the vote. If you want to do it by a show of hands, I would recommend that so that you know what the count is.
All right, show of hands.
Okay.
Well, we got to be clear about what we're showing our
Okay,
hands
show
for.
of hands for Melanie Brokaw.
Wait, can you, I just want to make sure we go through the whole thing. This is for the position of President Pro Tem. Okay.
Right. Okay. All right.
Are we showing hands? for
We're
this?
showing hands.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Show of hands for Glenn Dries for President Pro Tem. Okay. President Pro Tem is Mr. Dries. Okay. Nominations for Vice President Pro Tem.
You would declare then
Oh,
Mr. Dries
Mr.
as
Dries,
President
President
Pro
Pro
Tem.
Tem. Congratulations.
I'd like to
Nominate.
nominate Melanie Brokaw for Vice President Pro Tem.
I'll second that.
Second.
We have any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. And so,
Just one.
Just
just
one.
one.
Acclamation.
So congratulations. We don't vote on that, it's just
By
Just
acclamation.
by acclamation. Melanie Brokaw is the Vice President Pro Tem Council.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. The next motion.
Now, I move that the rules of council adopted in 2014 be reaffirmed for the calendar year 2015.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt or
Retain.
retain the rules of council that were adopted in 2014. All those in favor? say Aye. Aye. Okay. All right. Do we have any announcements for calendar?
Are you pregnant?
February 23rd,
No.
Street of Services at 9 a.m.
Is that it?
I don't know the date, but there's, third Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
It's Recreation Commission.
Intergovernmental.
Check the
February
village
23rd.
website.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming, everyone. Meeting's adjourned.
I wanted to say happy birthday to my 93-year-old grandmother.